Don't you dare interfere, outsider. If you can't hand over your entire salary to me, then leave. What? I'm the daughter of this house, and you're just an outsider. If you agree to give me your salary every month, I might let you stay. Otherwise, get out. I was dumbfounded by the harsh words spat out by my sister-in-law, Arlene. After 10 years of caring for my mother-in-law, Lexi, it was absurd to be treated like this by Arlene, who did nothing but laze around. Still, I believed in the bond I had with Lexi and simply responded, I understand, before leaving the house. But I knew Arlene's way wouldn't work forever. My name is Crystal. I married Elliot 20 years ago, and from that moment, I also began living with his mother, Lexi. After Elliot's father passed away, we decided not to leave Lexi alone. Fortunately, Lexi was a kind and generous person, and we got along well. However, 10 years ago, Lexi fell ill, and since then, I've been her primary caregiver. I left my job and became a freelancer to devote more time to her. Having lost my parents early on, Lexi became like a real mother to me, so caring for her was never a burden. 3 years ago, my husband, Elliot, tragically passed away in a sudden accident. The shock of losing her only son left Lexi a shadow of her former self. Although her body was frail, her mind remained sharp. But after Elliot's death, she began to fade away. I couldn't bear to see her deteriorate further or risk developing dementia. I loved and admired the always bright and positive Lexi, so I vowed to support her. Sharing the grief of losing my husband with Lexi was more comforting than enduring it alone. In-laws or not, I was determined to continue living here and caring for her. But trouble soon arrived from the other side, my late husband's younger sister, Arlene. She returned home after her divorce and quickly became a source of strife. Elliot used to say with a wry smile, she's much younger and has always been spoiled. Indeed, Arlene was self-centered and demanding, acting like a queen whenever she visited for holidays. She never helped with care, cooking, or household chores, but would eat, drink, and leave a mess behind. Sometimes she even hurled nasty words our way, and expecting gratitude from her was futile. Despite knowing I was busy with caregiving, Arlene would frequently leave her child with me and go off to have fun. When she finally came to pick up her child, she would take home the food I had made without permission. Even in her own home, such behavior was excessive. Once I gently pointed this out to her, but she snapped back, Crystal, you're just a barren freeloader, so the least you can do is all the housework, right? It's sad for mom not having grandchildren, so that's why I bring my kids here. Hearing such cruel words from her, especially when I had longed for children but couldn't have any, was unbelievable. I couldn't believe she was Lexi's daughter. Realizing it was pointless to argue, I decided not to say anything. We didn't see each other often, and I thought I could just endure it. But as I hoped to live peacefully, Arlene's visits became more frequent. Arlene, why are you leaving your child here so often and coming home late? Lexi once asked. I started a part-time job because the kids need more money. You must be happy to see your grandchild, she replied. Yes, Lexi said, but she seemed unconvinced. I wondered why Arlene would work until night while her child was still young. It didn't seem to be out of financial necessity, but I kept silent. Then one day, Arlene arrived unannounced again. This time, instead of leaving her child, she dragged in a large travel trunk. I got divorced, so I'll be living here from now on, she suddenly declared. Lexi and I were shocked and asked what she meant. With a tearful expression, Arlene began to speak. She claimed she had endured violence from her husband for a long time and had finally decided to divorce him. Unable to bear it any longer, she left the house under the condition of divorce, leaving her child behind because her husband wouldn't allow her to take them. I stood there stunned. I had met Arlene's husband a few times, and he seemed gentle and kind, not at all like the person she described. In fact, it was Arlene who often yelled at her husband and children unreasonably. I doubted Arlene's story, but Lexi, perhaps believing her daughter's words, agreed to let her stay. Lexi apologized to me, saying, as a mother, I can't ignore my daughter being divorced and kicked out, but living with Arlene. Thank you, Crystal. That's the situation, so I'm counting on you, Arlene said, grinning with eyes that weren't even slightly damp. It was all an act, wasn't it? Thus began life under one roof with the returned Arlene, who continued to do nothing. She didn't care for her own mother, let alone cook, do laundry, or clean, yet she kept giving orders. Did she really think I was her servant? Hey, what's with this bland all-meat meal? Are you messing with me? This meal is low in salt considering Lexi's health. Arlene, if you don't like it, why don't you cook something yourself? What? Don't tell me what to do. You're just a freeloader. Arlene shot back with venom. My brother is dead, and you're practically a stranger now. Why are you still living in this house? Who would care for Lexi if I weren't here? I replied, struggling to keep my voice steady. If it wasn't for that, I'd have kicked you out long ago. The peaceful days of living with Lexi seemed like a distant memory. Day by day, the stress of dealing with Arlene grew, but I made sure Lexi never noticed. One day, Lexi spoke up. Crystal, there's a place I want to go. It's tough with the wheelchair, but could you come with me? Of course, Lexi. Shall we stop by that cafe we used to visit? Lexi and I had a favorite cafe nearby. We used to go there often when she was healthier. That sounds wonderful, she replied, her voice filled with a rare warmth. I have something important to talk to you about. A month later, Arlene came home from one of her outings, not even bothering to greet us. Hey, are you working right now? She asked with a hint of disdain. Yes, I'm taking on jobs I can do from home. I want to prioritize Lexi's care, so I don't have as much time as before. So you're getting paid? Then give me all your earnings. What? I was baffled by Arlene's audacity. It's ridiculous to let a stranger live here for free. You should pay rent and utilities. Rent? I've been living here since I got married. We paid for the remodeling, and I've been covering all the utilities. But the land and house belong to us. Now that my brother's gone, I can say whatever I want. What do you mean? I'm just stating facts. Maybe you should find a job if you're not going to take care of Lexi. Frustrated, I couldn't help but retort. What right does a stranger have to say anything? Caring for Mom is just a performance. There's no inheritance for you, a stranger. Don't talk nonsense. As her daughter, don't you want to care for her and worry about her? Oh, you're so annoying. Don't meddle, outsider. If you can't hand over your entire salary to me, then leave. Listen, I'm the daughter of this house, and you're just an outsider. If you agree to give me your salary every month, I might let you stay. Otherwise, leave. I was dumbfounded by Arlene's words. For the past 10 years, I had been the one caring for Lexi, who couldn't move freely and who stayed by her side when her son died. I wanted to scream, I'm more of a daughter than you are. Despite not being related by blood, I had done all the housework and cared for Lexi without complaint. My voice trembled with anger. But Arlene just laughed scornfully. Isn't it natural to get paid for letting someone who's not even family live in the house? You must be after the inheritance. All right, if that's how it is, I'll leave. Huh, so you can't pay me the salary? What about Mom's care? Promise me you'll take care of that properly. Yeah, I got it. Stop nagging. You know the helper you've been using, right? Arrange for them to come every day and make sure you handle the payment. I couldn't believe it. She had no intention of taking care of her mother herself. I couldn't leave Lexi with someone like that. I immediately called a care manager I knew. A few days later, I moved out, but Arlene was hardly ever home, always out and about. I coordinated with the care manager and visited Lexi when Arlene was absent. I'm so sorry, Crystal. I never thought she'd kick you out. I told her to take it back, but she wouldn't listen, Lexi said, her voice heavy with regret. Lexi, don't worry about it. Just call me if you need anything. Then suddenly, the end came. Lexi was stable during the day but had an attack of her chronic illness in the evening. I rushed to the hospital when the care manager informed me, but Arlene was nowhere to be seen. A few hours after being admitted, the doctors did all they could, but Lex had passed away. I couldn't say goodbye or thank her. I couldn't stop crying. A few days after the funeral, all the relatives gathered at the house where only Arlene now lived. It seemed Lexi had requested everyone be present when her will was read. Lexi's lawyer looked over the gathered relatives and said, "Before I read the will, please listen to a voice recording that Lexi left as her final wish." Lexi's voice played, and everyone listened intently. "Thank you all for coming. I appreciate the friendships we had during my life. Now I will leave my will regarding my estate. It's not a large amount, but I wanted no troubles, so I requested all my relatives to be present. To my daughter Arlene, I leave $100,000. She did nothing to help care for her parent, but she's divorced with a young child. I'm leaving her this amount, which is her legal share. hoping she'll use it for alimony and for the child. What legal share? It's not the full amount, Arlene exclaimed loudly, and the relatives began to murmur. Arlene's divorced. She hasn't shown her face at family gatherings in years. Alimony? She doesn't even have custody of her child. Wasn't it Elliot's wife who took care of everything? She stayed and cared even after he died, someone whispered. Arlene's face turned red, her clenched fists trembling with anger. What do you mean? She demanded. Lexi's voice continued, oblivious to Arlene's fury. Some of you may be surprised to hear of Arlene's divorce. The reason was her infidelity. The relatives gasped, and Arlene's face changed color. Why would you mention that? She muttered. Instead of protecting her family by taking care of me, she neglected her child and ran around with her lover. Her husband caught her and divorced her, taking custody. Honestly, I didn't want to leave Arlene a single dollar, but she's always been greedy and would claim her rights. So to not trouble the other heirs, I'm only leaving her half of the legal inheritance. Please use it properly to pay the alimony and for the benefit of the grandchild. The room was filled with shock. Hearing Lexi's voice was both comforting and devastating to me. And to you, Crystal, Lexa continued, her tone softening. Thank you for marrying my son and for everything you've done since. I loved your honesty and kindness. It must have been hardest on you when Elliot died so young, but you bravely stayed by my side and took care of me. No amount of gratitude is enough. Tears overflowed from my eyes at Lexi's words. I know what it's like to take care of a parent, and caregiving is truly a tough task. You did it without a single complaint, without accepting any money, and always with a smile. Crystal, I am leaving you the same amount of $100,000 as my daughter, as well as our house and land. You are free to sell or rent the house, but I'd be happy if you remembered the days we spent together here. Lexi, I couldn't take it anymore. I started crying like a child. I could never be grateful enough. She treated me like her real mother, having lost my own parents early. To all my relatives, thank you for everything. Asterisk asterisk, my last wish asterisk asterisk. My last wish is for you to watch over my son's widow, Crystal, who will now be alone. Ensure she lives a bright and strong life. That's all. Lexi's voice echoed through the room. All I could hear around me were sobs. I couldn't stop my own tears either. Only Arlene was screaming loudly in such a situation. This is ridiculous. Such a will is invalid. Are you some kind of fake lawyer? She shouted. If you have doubts, we can meet in court. I'll appear as the opposing lawyer, and you'll see I'm legitimate, the lawyer calmly replied. That woman was just my brother's wife, a stranger. I'm the real daughter. It's absurd she gets the same amount and the house too. Arlene's voice was filled with desperation. She hadn't even attended Lexi's last moments, shedding not a single tear, only frantic now. Unforgivable. This hellish creature. I wiped my tears and stood up. Arlene, Mom might have been physically disabled, but she thought more of her family than anyone. This was the result of that. You knew about it. That's why you played down and left, Arlene accused, her face twisted with anger. I'm hearing about the will for the first time now. How did Mom even know about my relationships? Mom was worried when you started leaving your child frequently. That's why she contacted your ex-husband after your divorce. What? Then I met and talked with him. Lexa couldn't go out alone. Your husband tried to reconcile many times despite your repeated infidelities. He showed me the evidence. But the kind husband had no intention to demand alimony. Yet, Lexa suggested he should. She said the 3-year statute of limitations from the divorce would soon be up. No, wait, that's a lie. Arlene's voice cracked, her face growing pale as she realized the gravity of the situation. Everyone in the room looked at Arlene with contempt, neglecting her child and husband for affairs. Lexa probably didn't even want to leave her anything. Having a rightful heir like this can be troublesome, but it must have been for the grandchild's sake. She was kind, the relatives commented, casting stern looks at Arlene. Also about my inheritance, you seem unhappy, but I was legally adopted by Mom. I'm Lexi's child in the eyes of the law. What? Arlene turned even paler but kept on ranting. That's impossible. I didn't approve of that. It's not allowed without the daughter's consent. No consent is needed for an adoption, the lawyer added, sealing Arlene's fate. So I may have been driven out of the house, but things have changed. Since I'm inheriting the house, could you pack your things and leave soon? Arlene collapsed on the spot, unable to respond. There was applause from the relatives who heard everything. Some had tears in their eyes. It's good that you, who care for Lexi, are rewarded. You were like a real daughter. If you have any trouble, let us know, one of them said. I bowed deeply. Thank you. Lexi had probably gathered everyone to ensure I wouldn't be misunderstood or rumored about after inheriting the estate. After everything was made public and she lost the trust of the relatives, Harleen was left without anyone speaking to her. She later left the house in a huff, reportedly paying alimony to her ex-husband from her inheritance, but her life afterwards seemed difficult. Yet the fact that tens of thousands of dollars remained for Arlene, who had no savings or job, speaks volumes about Lexi's generosity. Ideally, she should use the money for her child and start working hard. But people like her rarely change. She'll probably run out of money soon. As for me, I'm now living leisurely, sorting through the belongings in my old home. The house is too big for one person, and the property taxes are quite high. I need to think about what to do. The lawyer gave me the recording of Lexa reading her will, saying Lexa had asked for me to have it, just remembering her words. Thank you for everything. I love your honesty and kindness. Makes me tear up. I wonder if I was able to properly express my gratitude to Lexi. I never thought of it as caregiving, but as something natural, being together all the time. Could my feelings have been conveyed through that? Maybe the contents of the will are Lexi's answer. I wiped my tears. It's still too soon. Staying in the house brings waves of sadness. If I keep crying, I'll worry my husband and Lexi above. All right, today I'll go to that cafe for the first time in a while. I said it out loud. It seems it will take a bit more time before I can let go of this house filled with memories of my husband and Lexi.